We're going to be doing a blind test between 3 boutique guitars, and we want to see, they're with similar specs, very similar specs. We want to see, does the new Yamaha FG9 stack up to these boutique guitars? And yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to do all of that coming up. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. We'll tell you a little bit about all these guitars.
The results may surprise you.
Yeah, they're going to surprise me. I'm certain of it. Anyway, we're going to do all that right after this. So we're back with one of our favorite types of videos. Everybody loves blind tests, and this has been a curious one because there's been a lot of people all over the internet.
I would like to claim credit for this, but I was listening to Business Wars, and apparently Pepsi did something like this back in the 80s. The Pepsi Challenge, they called it. So we are borrowing a little bit from them, except we're doing it.
I believe also Folgers Crystals did this. We have gone into this very high-end cafe, and we have substituted.
We're doing a version of that where we are going to blur out the guitars at the end of the video, guys. We'll switch seamlessly between all these. John's going to play a song and try to keep the same tempo going so that the editing crew can just seamlessly cut between guitars without you seeing it. Can you tell, does the Yamaha FG9 deserve to be counted among the boutique builds out there? And what do we have as a comparison, John? We'll talk about what the FG9 is in a minute. Who are our comparison instruments?
So again, we picked 3 guitars that are very similar spec.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there's differences. We got a Bourgeois Vintage Heirloom, fantastic guitar.
That's got a torrefied top, right?
It does. That is the only major difference that we have here that is pretty remarkable, is that this does have the torrefied, or in their terms,
so it's still apples to apples, but just grainy apples and...
yeah, I guess. Granny apples and Fujis, and sure, I'll go with that. But very different price points, which is actually very interesting. Now, again, there are different neck shapes here going on. This is an 1 3/4. That is the 23/32, 1'23". I think this one's an 1 3/4. But there's a lot of the same sort of bills. And basically what we're talking about is rosewood back and sides, Adirondack spruce top. Now, price-wise, we're talking about a big difference here. The Bourgeois comes in at $68.39. The Gallagher G-70 has a custom shop guitar with the Adirondack top. That does not normally come that way, but we ordered one custom in here at $4,700. And then this guitar, the new Yamaha FG9, at $4,099. So just about $4,100. Again, there's some really cool, unique stylings here. There's some unique deals that Bourgeois does. There's some unique things that Gallagher does.
Let's be clear, they're all going for slightly different voicing. What makes each one of them iconic is that they're doing something a little different. Like Bourgeois, Dana's just legendary for the tone that he gets out of his guitar. He's very precise, and he's very consistent with that. Gallagher has been developing really great sounding guitars since they kind of relaunched, and a different voicing entirely. And then this, again, is falling somewhere slightly different. So the goal isn't for them to sound identical. It's just to kind of hear the quality of the tones between the 3 and see what you think.
They're all great guitars. I mean, before we even get into blind test, I've played all 3 of these guitars. There's none of these guitars that I go, oh my God, that's a dog.
I hope not. That would be disappointing.
These are all great sounding guitars with slight differences. And some of you, we've seen this on a lot of our blind tests, are honestly going to come back here and say, I just can't hear the difference. And to that, I'm going to say one thing. Don't listen to this on your cell phone and go, I can't tell the difference in these guitars. If you're doing that, you're not going to hear the big difference. Try to get some earphones or just a higher quality speakers.
And for you guys that don't do that, just trust our opinion.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. So
it sounds like a guitar.
Yeah, it sure does. What we're going to do is a comparison, a blind comparison, which is our media team's got really good at this, where we just play all 3 of these guitars with the same song, same style. We'll be switching back and forth.
And then at the end is the big reveal. Which guitar did you pick? And you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Jeremy, that
do you
was
think, John?
that was a little bit of a surprise, huh? Maybe.
They're 3 good guitars. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised about that at all. I do like doing these comparison videos because it really, again, when I put them back to back, it gives me a full picture that I don't get to see.
There is a short-term memory of tone. Like you can play guitar and just know that you like it and you really like it, and then to go play another guitar, it's hard to say, oh, what was the tone of that one I just played 10 minutes ago? Like if you have a gap in time, it's really hard for your memory to dial in on what the differences were. Where when you do it back-to-back, and even better when they edit it and it's like instantaneous, you can really hear those differences immediately, and you still have a short-term enough memory to tell the difference.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts on the playing one back-to-back after another?
I'm going to do this in 2 ways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I heard first and give you my, what I hear out of each of the guitars. And first, yes, you are correct. I think this does stack up absolutely to these 3 guitars. They just absolutely do.
I would hate to have to send them back.
But here's what I heard. Out of the Bourgeois, I heard exactly what I expected to hear: a more articulate low end that was very detailed and very crisp. Didn't overly boom. It was lacking some of the low end, maybe a little bit, but that's expected of that guitar because they know, 1, it'll grow into a little bit more low end, 2, that it actually mics and kind of controls a little bit better. The Gallagher had the Gallagher sound. There is some strong mid-term stuff, but there was a lot of really crispy brightness to it as well. As far as the one that to me had the most overall frequency response, it was actually the FG9. I felt that it had great low end, yet it still had a lot of good sustain and a rounded top end. Even though it was very crystalline, there was still a roundness to it, which is what I heard out of the Bourgeois. So those are what I heard from the 3 guitars. Honestly, and this may surprise you, of the 3, my favorite was actually the FG9. Because of the fact that I think it just performed in all the spectrum.
It bridges what you're used to with more the. You have a 1940 D18 D18 that has that real big low end and fullness to it, but you've been getting used to your Bourgeois that has much more clarity and articulation. So maybe this has helped bridge a little bit of that. And
it's also, my Bourgeois is a little bit different brace too, and I like a little bit more bottom end to it and the control. I'm curious to see what it's going to sound like on the mics, but I'm just hearing what I'm hearing in the room at this deal. There's a good chance that on the mics, that controlled low end is going to kind of shine a little bit more. There's a good chance that the high end and crystalline of what happened on the guitar will shine a little bit more. But in the room, sitting here, what I felt, and that's the other side of this, is I feel more of this guitar as I play it, and it just feels like it's coming back at me a little bit stronger. And for me personally, I'm at the point of my guitar playing career where I'm looking for different voicings and characteristics, and that was a unique characteristic that really did come into me, and it took me a while to appreciate. You are correct in that, and to know what it was that I really loved about that.
The first time I had an IPA, I thought, this is very bitter. I don't like it.
I still
and then
believe
slowly
that.
I start to appreciate the flavor and the floral aspect of it, and now I am IPA all. So I get what you're talking about.
What you're saying right now is I like to chew on pine cones when I drink. that's what you're really trying to tell me. Anyway, no, that is the fact here. All 3 of these are fantastic guitars. I think they should be bred or listed in the top levels of guitars, which they all are. This is new to that world, so it's that's why we're doing this video. It's got to earn its well, but it does fall into that world. And here's the biggest thing: is they are deliberately different. If every manufacturer was going after the exact same sound, this would be the most boring guitar world ever, because we would just have everybody with a different nameplate on the peg head and building the same thing. There are differences for a reason. They need to be minute differences. There's characteristics that everybody loves, and there's characteristics that each person has to individually enjoy in a different way. And that is more of your tasting experience that you were kind of showing.
Go to a beer aisle sometime. There's quite a variety of options available.
There are. And any kind of boutique world where they kind of get into the details of all those different flavors.
The finer points.
Yeah, the finer points of all of those. So that's what I found. you know, playabilities, these are all fantastic guitars. They're all well set up. They're all great. So yes, in the end, the question was, does the new FG9 stack up to a boutique guitar? Absolutely. And in this case, for my personal deal, I actually think it was my favorite in this particular case. Now,
we can't wait to see what you guys think. What did you think? What was your favorite guitar? Do you agree or disagree with John? And why is he wrong? And what is your favorite IPA? I'm looking for some new ones. So put that in the comment as well. And if you'd like to send us a pack to try out, we'll also accept those.
What you really just need to send Jeremy is various different pine cones from around the world that he can chew on.
Someday you'll appreciate the finer points.
Thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this.
If you like that, we did a full review of the FG9 guitars. We had the mahogany and the rosewood, and we talked about all the specs, all the details, how we discovered it. We made a great, fun video between those two guitars too for a taste test, if you will. The link to that is right here, so check that out and let us know what you guys think. Can't wait to see you on the next video.